We are all set, Captain. You are ready to go.
Right then, lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We are going to be touching on the striker situation as we could see changes regarding that position. Nketiah could be out, and that's going to trigger a couple of changes. Arsenal will be going back to the market to revisit the striker situation. However, according to The Athletic, Arsenal look at Nketiah and Gyökeres as two players that if none of them leaves, if one of them or none of them actually leaves, Arsenal might not sign a striker. So we're going to be talking the striker situation. Court of Side are reporting that Arsenal are still looking at Viktor Gyokerez as a striker who would come in should Nketiah leave. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. There is a lot to dive into when it comes to the striker situation because it looks like Arsenal are undecided about what they want to do, especially on the future of Gyökeres, on the future of Nketiah as well. Gyökeres is confirmed to stay. Kai Havertz is going to be playing as a number 9 next season, but that was not going to stop Arsenal from signing a striker. But the move for Nketiah might. If Eddie goes, Marseille want him. We're going to talk about that move. If Eddie goes to Marseille or any other club, then we might see changes. Then we might see movements on the striker market for Arsenal. But if Eddie stays, 100% Arsenal are not going to get you a new striker, however you're obsessed with it. Also, we're going to talk about David Onstein's up to today. The Arsenal think that the striker market is blank. Is the striker market that blank that Arsenal cannot find a striker? Because they're saying that the Sesko opportunity for Arsenal was seen as a mega opportunity, but also one of the once in a lifetime opportunities in such a dry market. So Arsenal feel like without getting Benjamin Sesko at the moment, they don't have good opportunities to go and sign a striker, in my opinion, unless our budget is still very, very bad, unless it's a question of the budget. I don't think Arsenal's striker search is hitting a dead end, unless Edu and Mikel are saying they have a certain profile they want or a certain market value they're looking to invest at the market. But I think the striker market is okay. Yes, it is a little bit blank, it's a little bit blunt, I know, but I think it's okay for Arsenal to do some good signings. But good evening, where are you watching from? Let me know how you are doing. Looks like our striker signing depends on Nketiah. So question: how much would you sell Nketiah for us to go and sign a new striker? Arsenal valued him at 50 million. Do you think that at 50 million clubs are easily going to sign him? Or do you think Arsenal put him at 50 million so that we buy ourselves enough time to look at the striker market and go, yeah, we can sign someone, or we cannot sign someone, let us keep Nketiah in the team. So what is the update? There's the couple of updates on this one, but I want us to start off with the David Onstein update that he gave us today in the morning, confirming that Arsenal's striker priority right now is a little bit unknown. They wanted Benjamin Sesko in June, that much we know, and Sesko decided to stay. And ever since that, according to David Onstein, ever since that day that Sesko decided to stay at RB Leipzig, Arsenal have not concretely, and I want to quote him because he says, Arsenal have not concretely moved on to another target as a striker. So it is believed that Arsenal look at the striker market as blank. Arsenal look at the striker market as a market without opportunities. I remember talking to Glenn, that was around 2 weeks ago, and we were asking ourselves the question: is the striker market really this summer blank? Is it as blank as people say? And we looked at the opportunities there. We looked at Ivan Toney. We looked at Osimhen. We looked at Gyökeres. We looked at Josh Zirkzee, Benjamin Sesko. We looked at a couple of strikers. And in my opinion, I was like, yeah, the striker market is not good, but you still can get some, you still can get, some players. Because if Arsenal really want a capable striker, I think this market has capable strikers. I think Osimhen is a capable striker. I think Ivan Toney is a capable striker. And I think Viktor Gyokerez is a capable striker. And still, if Arsenal just want to sign a young underdog, a young understudy striker for a player like Kai Havertz, again, you have understudy strikers that are available on the market. Sesko at some point was available. Now he's no longer available. You've had the Georgian the Georgian striker, that is Georges Makadize, who's gone now to Monaco. He has been available. You have Joshua Zirkzee available. You have Santiago Giménez at Feyenoord available. So I think it's a market where, yes, maybe the strikers that are there that are available are not as good as Lewandowski, Aubameyang. Maybe they are not that level. And yes, they are not that level. Osimhen is not Lewandowski levels. Gyökeres is not Aubameyang levels. You're not going to get the Robin van Persies in this market. So we have to settle with what's available. And maybe that's what Arsenal don't want. For them, they're saying, if we're going to sign a striker, we want to go to the market and get a guy that is a one chance, one goal machine. The strikers have been there. Haaland was there. We didn't try. Maybe if we had gone for Haaland, one chance, one goal. But I kind of feel like the generation of Arsenal, the generation of strikers that we have seen is gone. There are no more Kun Agüeros. There are no more Tevez. There is no more Lewandowski. There are no more Benzemas. There are no more Cristiano Ronaldos. And there are no more R9s. And there are no more Zlatans. So if Arsenal really think that this is a blunt market, I don't see any strikers that are coming up that are exciting me. Even if Arsenal say this summer we're not going to see a striker, next summer we shall look into the striker situation, I don't see any strikers that really excite me in terms of profile that if you give them one more season, they are going to be at the top. Benjamin Sesko is definitely not going to be a top striker in 1 year. He's going to need like 3 years. Santiago Giménez, something like 2 years, right? Duncan Ferguson, something like 2 years. Joshua Zirkzee, something like 2-3 years. All the strikers available right now, even if it's Maximilian Bayer, the Arsenal are very much interested in, all those are going to take some time to become into to come into the world class status that we are looking at. So David Onstein says that at the moment, Arsenal are not convinced that the striker market can provide a goal scorer they want at that price, right? So I think we must talk about the price, and we'll later on talk about the price, because I think why Arsenal are not going for Gyökeres is the price. Fabrizio said it's a deal that Arsenal have explored. They have all the conditions, but the price is still very, very steep, and they don't want to go into negotiations at 100 million euros. Osimhen, it is the price as well. Santiago Giménez, I don't know. Brian Brobbey, I don't know whether Brian Brobbey is a player that would excite you guys personally. I wouldn't say he's a striker that would excite me, but we wait and see. So the update from the Athletic doesn't fill us with a lot of confidence, because it shows that Arsenal are reluctant to go for a striker. It shows that Arsenal are undecided about all the strikers on the market. Yes, they are looking at them. They have asked for conditions on these deals, but they either think the players that are available are not good and very expensive, and those that are not expensive are simply not good. Do I agree? I think there's some strikers that are not good, like Valvegost. I wouldn't go for Valvegost for me. But I also think that there's some strikers that, if Arsenal really was serious, would go and do. Like the way we signed Declan Rice for 100 million. If Arsenal was serious about a player like Osimhen, I think that deal comes out at 100 million. I really, really think. I'm not saying we should pay 100 million for Osimhen. All I'm trying to say is that I am not going to take the excuse that Arsenal are actually not going to sign a striker because the striker market is blank or blunt or lacks opportunities, right? If Arsenal really think Kai Havertz is the guy that's going to take us forward, that's okay. And no one has a problem with that. We wait and see. If we win the league and the Champions League with Kai Havertz, then Arsenal and Mikel Arteta have won. If we fail to win, we shall be here to remind them that maybe at some point in time, you should have gone and signed a sensible number 9. So, coat offside, before we get to court of side, Nketiah to Marseille is now a real possibility. This is a story coming out from very reliable sources, and Dizabi, I don't know his other name. I've just forgotten his other name. Dizabi is now the new manager at Marseille. He's a big fan of Nketiah. And Nketiah's departure at Arsenal is being reported as a key prerequisite to what Arsenal will do in terms of the striker situation this summer. That's according to Court of Side. So they're saying that after signing Ricardo Calafiori, Arsenal will look into the striker situation, but that is majorly going to depend on Nketiah. If Eddie leaves, 100%, Arsenal will make moves on the striker market. But if Nketiah stays, Arsenal will actually decide that no striker comes in, and I think that's clear as day. However much we have our all our strikers nonsensical, I don't think that you add another striker. I don't think that we need to add another striker to all this kind of deadwood. For me, eventually, in terms of being a number 9, Kai Havertz 2-3 years down the road, he will become deadwood. He's going to become a player that you cannot rely on. Gabriel Jesus, 2 years into his Arsenal stint, already a deadwood. Eddie Nketiah, I don't know whether Eddie Nketiah is Arsene Wenger's boy, Arsene Wenger's project, and Arsene Wenger's put up clear instructions: never drop Eddie Nketiah, never sell him, because Eddie Nketiah's time at Arsenal ended by when Arsene Wenger left Arsenal. That is the time Eddie Nketiah, Rob Holding, Reece Nelson, that's the time all these boys should have left Arsenal. Like, it was over for them. Their father, their daddy had gone. And Arsene Wenger was a daddy for them. Joe Willock. Arsene Wenger was their daddy. He would give them game time. He would go to the market and look at Benzema and look at Thomas Lemar, and he says, I'm not going to send Thomas Lemar, I'm not going to send Benzema. They're very expensive. I have Eddie Nketiah, I have Joe Willock, and I have Rob Holding. I'm not going to sign a proper centre back. I have Rob Holding. I bought him for 4 million from Bolton. All Eddie's time at Arsenal is over. But let's first talk about that story linking him to Marseille today. So the story says that Marseille have made contact with Arsenal. They have also made contact with Eddie Nketiah's entourage to try and negotiate a deal. Nothing more than that at the moment. No negotiations in terms of formal contacts, not formal negotiations. They have not made a bid. They're just trying to explore what it would take to do the deal. And we are told that De Zerbi is a big fan of the player. He wanted him at Brighton. He wants him at Marseille right now. The best situation for Arsenal this summer, the best situation is for us to cash in on Eddie Nketiah. And as we cash in on Eddie, we shouldn't do it with any regrets. He's not a bad player. I don't want to throw him under the bus. No, he's not a bad player. And I understand why Arsenal gave him a new deal. I understand why Arsenal gave him a new contract. The reason as to why we gave him a new deal, the reason as to why we gave him a new contract was Arsenal looked at him as one of the players that can, form what you call the squad depth without asking for a lot of time. I think it was one of my favorite Arsenal podcasters who said that Eddie Nketiah provides Arsenal something with something that no many players would actually provide us. He is willing to play 10 games a season without complaining. Honestly, I didn't know that was a quality that players must have. I didn't know that in your squad, you must have players that, with goalkeepers, maybe second goalkeepers and third choice goalkeepers. Yeah, I know that. But I also didn't know that in your squad, you must have a player who is willing to play only 10 games, score only 5 goals, and be satisfied. That's when I knew that Eddie Nketiah's role to this Arsenal side is not to push other players, because Eddie Nketiah doesn't push anyone. I don't want to lie. I don't think Kai Havertz is scared that Eddie Nketiah is going to take over his number 9 role. I don't think Gabriel Jesus is terrified that there is a guy called Eddie Nketiah, and it doesn't terrify any defenders we go against, doesn't terrify any opponents. So Eddie Nketiah's role at Arsenal If it is about making sure that he plays less minutes so that Kai Havertz can play more and Jesus can play more, then we've got to keep him. Honestly, if that is his role, you're not bringing in Gyökeres to give you to play that role. You're not bringing in Osimhen to play that role. But I want to be as realistic as possible. Nketiah is standing in the way of Arsenal getting a proper 9. Nketiah and Havertz and Jesus are all standing in the way. To be precise, I would offload Havertz and offload Jesus and offload Nketiah and offload Reece Nelson and offload all those guys that are masquerading as number 9s, false 9s, half 9s. I would offload all of them and get one Viktor Gyokerez because he is worth it. The truth is that Osimhen is worth all these guys. The truth is that Osimhen can score more goals than all these guys combined. And I'm not even lying about it. I'm not even shaking as I speak, say that. I'm not even shaking because I stand on that. Osimhen can score 25 goals. If I combine Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah, I'm going to get 10 goals. Kai Havertz, 15 goals. That's 25. So why would I need 3 players to get me 25 goals if I can get an Osimhen or a Gyökeres and I can hit those numbers? For me, I would offload all of them. So I think this is a massive opportunity for Arsenal. Marseille have come in with genuine interest. However much we have had a lot of clubs interested in Eddie, we have only had 3 clubs that have genuinely come in and approached Arsenal and requested for the transfer of Eddie Nketiah. West Ham, they were turned down in January 2022. Crystal Palace, they were turned down in January 2023 and also in the summer of 2023, I think. And then the other club is now Marseille. The good thing with Marseille is that they're a club abroad. So maybe Arsenal don't want to sell their striker weapon. They don't want to sell their leather weapon into the league. Okay? You have an opportunity to sell him abroad. You have an opportunity to sell him to a club that is far away, in France. And I also think that Eddie is now going to go and play under a manager who understands him, a manager who treats him like he deserves, a manager who appreciates him, and a project that he fits. I think with Eddie, if he goes to Marseille and he scores for them 20 goals, that's all right. But for Arsenal, 20 goals in 5 years, that's all right. But for Arsenal, you cannot score for us 20 goals in 5 years. It is simply not good enough. You cannot score a hat-trick against Sheffield and you go for, on a goal drought of 10, 20 games. It's unacceptable. That is not the level we are at. And at the moment, I'm going to say this, Arsenal don't have a striker that is at the level at which we are, or we want to be. We don't have a Champions League semi-final striker. We don't have a Champions League quarterfinal striker. We don't have a title-winning striker. We have none. So if Eddie is going to be the one that leaves, and we open up, and that will open up a gaping hole for us to go and invest in a new striker, I 100% support that. So Court of Side are saying that Eddie Nketiah's departure could actually lead Arsenal into a situation where they have some money and they could reinvest that money in a new striker. And they're quoting 3 strikers. I want to bring up that they're quoting 3 strikers today, this evening, actually. They're saying, I want you to look at this. So they're saying once Calafiori is done, Arsenal are understood to be eyeing up a number of striker targets to come in next. With Sporting Lisbon striker Viktor Gyokerez, one of the main names high up on their list, as well as Brentford's Toney. Feyenoord striker Santiago Giménez could also be one to watch, though he also has a long-standing interest in other big names like Tottenham and Napoli as well. So they are saying, as soon as Calafiori is done, next on the agenda could be the striker. And the names we're hearing is Toney, I think with Ivan Toney, we can leave that out. Gyökeres and Santiago Giménez, right? Sell Eddie for 30 million. I mean, we've set we've set Eddie's price at 50 million. That's ridiculous. Like completely, utterly ridiculous. So we've set his price as 50 million. I think honestly, if you ask me how much, if I let me ask you, because at times I overvalue our players and at times I undervalue the players I don't appreciate enough for Arsenal. So let me ask you, if you are to sell Nketiah, how much is he really worth? We are selling him to reinvest in a new striker. We are selling whatever we get, we are going to top up and go and get a new striker. How much should Arsenal realistically? I am not going to take any crazy deals, right? Realistically, how much should Arsenal get for Eddie Nketiah? Realistically, is it 30, 25, 40, 45, right? How much? How much do you really get for Eddie? Because it's a crazy market. You have a couple of strikers, even if they say that strikers are not available, you have a couple of strikers that are actually available. You have John Duran. I think West Ham have made a bid for him. So West Ham, who initially wanted Eddie Nketiah, have now gone in for John Duran. So you have John Duran available. You have who else is available? You have Jonathan David available as well. You have Armando Broja available. So I don't think Arsenal are in a position where they can say, at the moment, we have the striker that everyone wants. Actually, none. So I think the market value for Eddie Nketiah is around 30 million euros. Arsenal can get 35 million pounds out of him and you let him go. And you reinvest that money in a very good striker. If we have 35 million from Eddie, we can add 35 million from our budget, that is 70 million, and go and agree a deal with anyone. Whether it's Feyenoord for Santiago Giménez, whether it is Ivan Toney for for 60 million at Brentford, whether it's Gyökeres for 70 or 80 million at Lisbon. At this point, I don't care as long as we're getting a good striker. Go and pay up. Go and pay up that money. I just don't want, and I just don't like the fact that we kind of meander around as if we are the only club that doesn't know, what we want to do. We shouldn't be doing that. Honestly, we shouldn't be doing that. So Eddie, 35 million. We add another 35. We reinvest. So the question is, who is the more likely player Arsenal can reinvest their money in? I think that's a very good question. Which is the most likely deal, and which is the most likely player Arsenal can get on this market? Because we could talk about Gyökeres and it's a difficult deal. We can talk about Osimhen and it's a difficult deal, right? So Court of Side are saying high on the list is Viktor Gyokerez. Let's start with Viktor Gyokerez. He doesn't need anyone. He doesn't need anyone to tell him or to tell us about what he has done last season. Gyökeres last season was a freak of nature. He was like, I think if anyone had gambled that he would fail, that is the quickest way for you to lose your money. The boy was a wonder. He absolutely terrorized, the whole of Europe. He absolutely terrorized the Portuguese league. And Sporting Lisbon, I'm gonna say, big up to you guys. That was a very, very good spot. Because how did Premier League teams not pick up Viktor Gyokerez? We know that Premier League teams are very good at scouting such players. How did Premier League teams don't pick up Viktor Gyokerez to the extent that within 1 year, he's now 100 million? I mean, you've got to give Sporting Lisbon their flowers. So for me, the perfect striker right now on the market for any club looking for a number 9, seriously, is Viktor Gyokerez. And if you're Arsenal and you're seriously looking to invest in a striker, a young striker, because we've been told that Arsenal want to sign a young striker, I think Viktor Gyokerez is kind of a double-edged sword. It's with Gyökeres. I'm trying to tie my watch. Sorry. With Viktor Gyokerez, you're you're hitting two birds with one stone, right? You're hitting two birds with one stone. The first bird is that you want a young striker that can come in and give you that element of longevity, 6 years. So strikers these days, they are going up to 33. Okay. So 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So that with Gyökeres, you're looking at a minimum of 5 quality seasons, 5 quality seasons, and a maximum of 8 seasons, right? Like by the time the likes of Aguero, ran out of energy, they had already done enough damage. By the times of Luis Suarez had run out of energy, they had already done enough damage. So I think Gyökeres is next in line. When I look at him, I'm like, this is a Luis Suarez prodigy. This is a. I don't want to overrate Van Persie. I don't. But let's say Van Persie. Okay, Van Persie, Berbatov, Aguero. This is the kind of guy. He's going to score a lot of goals, but most importantly, he's going to lead the line for a little bit longer. So, in terms of getting a young striker, you don't want a young striker who's eating biscuits, playing video games at night. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for in terms of young, and what we should be looking for, is a guy that can come in and just give us 6, 7 years quality. And I think that's why Arsenal have said, Odegaard, come here, Rice, come here, because these are young players that at the bare minimum, they give you 6 years on top, 6 years of quality ball. Then the other advantage with signing Gyökeres, apart from the fact that he's a little bit younger and you can use him for long, he is ready to deliver now. He is ready to deliver now, and that is the advantage of Gyökeres over Duncan Ferguson, over Joshua Zirkzee, over Benjamin Sesko. I looked at Benjamin Sesko at the Euros and I'm like, is this the guy really? He got good chances, failed to bury them. He got half chances, failed to bury them. He failed to create space for himself. I don't think he really buried himself in good glory at the Euros. I can't lie. I don't think he buried himself in good glory at the Euros. So if we think about all these young strikers that Arsenal tracking, having Nketiah and bringing in Sesko, I'm sorry, it's the same. And you remember I told you when we were talking about Sesko, like in June, and I told you, for me, I don't like Sesko. I don't value, I don't rate him, right? I don't rate him because I don't see the purpose of having a player like Sesko when I have Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus. Is he better than them? No. Is he better than them in each and any way? No. Not in any way. Headers, Kai Havertz is better. Pressing, Gabriel Jesus is better. Finishing, Kai Havertz is better. So literally, we don't want to sign a shadow, or we shouldn't sign a shadow. We should be going for a player that brings something clear. What you bring to Arsenal must be defined. And that's why I'm saying Viktor Gyokerez is the guy, because 50 goal contributions, you add that to Arsenal last season, we win the league. But if you add Sesko's 10 goals, 9, 16, 15, 12, if you add his 13 goals of last season to this Arsenal team, we are in the same place. We are in the same place, honestly. If I swap out Kai Havertz's goal contributions with Sesko's goal contributions, we have gone down a little bit. We've gone down. And however, if I bring Gyökeres' goals in and I take Kai Havertz's goals out, Arsenal win the league. It's significantly more, because Kai Havertz had around 20 goal contributions last season. It was good for his first season, but Gyökeres has 50. Gyökeres had 50 in his first season. So that's the point. So Viktor Gyokerez is a no-brainer for Arsenal. Like, however much is expensive, however much Arsenal saying we want to invest somewhere else, we want to by someone else. Like, I don't have a problem with you getting in a center back. If you feel a center back is the biggest problem, go and get in your center back. But there is that market opportunity for a striker like Viktor Gyokerez. You either get it or you lose it. If we get him, we are the winners. If we don't get him, we are the losers. It's as simple as that. I don't want this. I don't want this mentality of Real Madrid. We are not Madrid. We are not Barcelona. If a player doesn't join us, they're losing out. If Arsenal don't get Gyökeres, we will be the losers. Now, Santiago Giménez is the other striker. With Santiago Giménez, I don't know whether it's about him being overrated or whether it's about him being good, but people kind of overrate him in my eyes, and I don't like it when a player is overrated in my eyes. I want players like Osimhen and Gyökeres, because no one really overrates them. Like, no one overrates Gyökeres. The guy had 50 goal contributions. If you want to overrate that, do it, right? If you want to call that overrated, if you want to call 50 goal contributions overrated, go ahead, call it overrated. We don't have a problem. But you can never call Viktor Gyokerez overrated. But with Santiago Giménez, I have a problem. I have a problem with that deal. I have a problem with that striker. I think people are, look at him as this kind of striker that he is not. He's just 23, right? He's young, no problem there. And I think he's had 2 good seasons. 15 goals last season, but one, and 23 goals last season. He can easily turn into a Cody Gakpo. He can easily turn into a Steven Bergwijn. He can easily turn into. We have seen them come from the Dutch league and they fail. So, is he better than what we have? I'm going to ask you that. The people who know Santiago Giménez, the people who have told me, Cossy, let's go for Feyenoord's Santiago Giménez. Is it better than what Arsenal have? Is it better than Jesus? Is it better than, Kai? I mean, the difference he would have is that he is a proper number 9. He's not. You're not going to try to fix him into the 9 like the way we try to fix in, Jesus. I'm not a number 9. I don't like scoring goals, but if you play me there, I will play. We're not going to try to fix him there. We're not going to try to fix him like Kai Havertz. I'm a number 10, stroke number 8, stroke winger, but I'm being played as a 9 and I can also do it. That's the only thing. He's a proper 9, but not at the levels. I don't want anyone to tell me he's at the levels of 50 goal contributions, Gyökeres, or a title-winning scorer in Osimhen. I think if we were to do a tier list, I think I've done a tier list about strikers where I've placed Santiago Giménez in the second category. So in the top category, I would have Lautaro Martinez, I would have Osimhen, I would have Gyökeres, and then in the second tier, in the second category of good but not too good, I think Santiago Giménez, that's what it is. Good but not too good. I would prefer to see him play another 2 seasons at Feyenoord, or I prefer him to go from Feyenoord to a club like Brentford or a club like Brighton, and we see how he does. Because I feel like him from Feyenoord to Arsenal, from the Dutch Eredivisie to Arsenal, for him to come in to start scoring 25 goals a season, that's kind of a big gamble. It's kind of a big gamble. But again, linked with Arsenal. However, the good thing with Santiago Giménez is that he can help Arsenal he can help us get Viktor Gyokerez. Let me explain. So, Sporting Lisbon are being linked with Santiago Giménez. And they've been linked with a couple of strikers this summer. I don't know whether that's because they feel Gyökeres is at some point in time going to leave, right? That could be the reason. But they have been trying to, sign a few strikers this summer. Now, the market value of Santiago Giménez is 40 million euros. He would fit into what Arsenal want to do. Young, prolific, proper 9, and can develop further. He's gonna be cheap as well. 40 million euros market value. I think this is one of those where you're going to have to pay a little bit more, right? You're going to have to pay a little bit more than the market value of the player. So I'm thinking his market value is 40 million euros. Arsenal to get him, we would maybe we would have to pay around 50 million euros to get him, Santiago Giménez. But the good thing with Santiago Giménez is that if he goes to Sporting Lisbon, it's difficult to see it, but if he goes to Sporting Lisbon for 40 million euros, Arsenal could well and truly pay 80 million euros or 85 million euros for Viktor Gyokerez. So for me, there is a sign. There is a sign there that Sporting feel Gyökeres is not going to stay. I'm not saying like they feel is going to Arsenal. I'm saying there is a sign. They've tried to sign a couple of strikers in this summer, right? They have been linked to a couple of strikers in this summer, and there's a feeling eventually that they lose him. Eventually there's a feeling that they might lose him. There's a feeling that at some point in time he moves on. Gyökeres moves on and goes to another club, and therefore they have to settle into life without him. Lastly is Ivan Toney. My thoughts on Toney have not changed. He's a proper 9. And I've been, someone told us in the comments, I think it was, last week, not last week, but 2 days ago. Someone said Ivan Toney is rude. Rude? I don't know. Rude? How come? I don't know. But anyway, my thoughts on Toney don't change. And my thoughts on Toney have not changed. The only reason why I wouldn't sign him is the price. The only reason why I wouldn't sign him is the price. Come on, guys. This guy banged in, right? He banged in 20 goals at the most average team the world has ever seen. Brentford. You remember that Leicester City that won the league? It was an average side. But this Brentford side that Ivan Toney used to score 20 goals, this team is bang average. Like bang average. Mbeumo, Kasper Dolberg, Vitaly Jensen. This team is bang average. And this guy scored 20 goals. I think he scored like 7 penalties, right? 7 or 9. Not 9. I think around 7 penalties. If he comes in at Arsenal, no one takes the penalties. It's Ivan Toney, because he's going to bury his penalty every time. Leave alone a guy that looks straight into the goalkeeper's eyes as he's going to take the penalty and boom, takes it in. If Ivan Toney had taken the penalty for England in Qatar 2022, I'll tell you, they would be in the final. They would be in the final. So Ivan Toney for me is the price. Let me tell you, if Ivan Toney is 40 million, right? 40 million, that's another market opportunity. That is a deal now that Arsenal have to go and look at. If it's 40 million, 60 million, that's overrated. Yeah, that's overrated. That is nonsensical, satanic pricing, barbaric, pricing. But if Ivan Toney is going to cost anywhere between 30 to 40 million, that is a market opportunity. What doesn't he have? Yes, he's got a bit of gambling. Maybe Arsenal don't want that. Maybe. Okay, so I agree with that. Attitude, character. I'm not going to buy into that, right? I'm not going to buy into that. Not going to buy into that. The one thing I'm going to say is maybe the price. And we know that Brentford are selling. We know that Brentford are willing to sell. So if they're willing to sell, and you have a willing buyer in Arsenal, well, why don't we go and do the deal? For me, it's as simple as that. It's as straightforward as that. But Toney, I don't see that happen. Like, I want to be as honest and open as possible. I don't see that Tony deal happen. Okay. Lots of you in the chat. Lots of you in the chat. Moses says Nketiah and Jesus should be sold so we can buy a better player like Osimhen. For me, I think that's what ruthless strikers do. I mean, ruthless clubs do. I have seen the transfer strategy of Man City. I've seen the transfer strategy of Madrid. I've seen the transfer strategy of good clubs. Even Ferguson at Manchester United. That is what he would do. That is what he used to do, right? That's what he used to do. He would bin all these strikers all these players that were just masquerading around. He would bin them and just go and get a good, proper player. Like he brought in Van Persie. That was good. That was a statement signing, and I think Arsenal need a statement signing. By the way, today in 2014, today on the same day today in 2014, Alexis Sanchez signed for Arsenal. So maybe Arsenal have got to remember on this day we signed Alexis Sanchez many years ago, and he was a statement signing. Kwame says, I reckon it will be Ricardo Calafiori and Mikel Moreno who will be our new signings. Calafiori will be. Mikel Moreno, it's not yet decided. Barcelona are still there. But I think Arsenal are really pushing. And I think we'll have another set of players as well. Nketiah is not our class right now. Well, I wouldn't say not our class, but I think the team's ambitions have overrun players like Edin Nketiah, with all due honesty. Again, says striker needed so much. And then Sessa says, for me, in midfield, we need a player like Onana or Fofana. Moses says, for me, I want Osimhen. Okay. And then Sessa says 35 million for Edin Nketiah. Arteta should be serious. Charles says, which deals have Arsenal completed? We are here every day. You definitely know where we are in terms of the transfer market. Michael says for Edin Nketiah, 25 million and above. Yeah, I would take 25 million for Eddie, but my maximum for him would be 35. I think anyone gives us 35 million, I'm all right with that. I'm okay with that when it comes to Eddie Nketiah. Opera News says Nketiah is worth 20 million. He's worth more 25. Is worth about 25. Moses says 30 million. Yeah, just about right. James says for me, it should be around 40 million. 40 million is too much. 40 million is what Santiago Giménez will cost. 40 million is what Ivan Toney would cost. That is a little bit over-exaggerated. 40 million is a little bit over-exaggerated. Happy says, if you kept Nketiah in front of Arsenal squad in the number 9 position, he's better than many strikers in the EPL. Happy, that is not the point. That is not the point. Buy and have Serge Gnabry and Leroy Sané. And when you compare Leroy Sané and Serge Gnabry, there are so many wingers that are not better than Leroy Sané and Serge Gnabry. But why are Bayern improving with Michael Olise? You've got to ask yourself such a question. It's not about, Edin Nketiah is better than Mateta. You're not competing with Crystal Palace. You're looking at the very few, right, you're competing with. So with Arsenal, you don't have the luxury of looking around Crystal Palace and Brentford's striking lines. And even if we did, I don't think he's better than Darwin Núñez. I don't think he's better than Haaland. I don't think he's better than Ivan Toney. I don't think he's better than Joao Pedro and Duncan Ferguson. I don't think he's better than I think he's better than I don't think he's better than Son. I don't think he's better than Cody Gakpo. I think the debate of he is better than so many should be a debate that a club like Crystal Palace can have, or a club like Crystal Palace should have. Not a club like Arsenal. For Arsenal, you're not looking for a striker who's after all, he's better than anyone. You're looking for a striker. You're looking for a guy who is better than the top two. Is Nketiah better than the strikers at Chelsea, Man United, Man City, and Liverpool? He's not. End of our story. We don't need to look at Brighton, Crystal Palace, Ipswich. We don't need to. We don't need to. Right? And remember, Arsenal are not only competing in the Premier League, we are also competing in the Champions League. So let's say Madrid bring Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo, and then you bring Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus, and Kai Havertz. The game is over. The game is over. So that's why I'm saying it's not about Eddie being better than many of the strikers in the league. It's about Arsenal looking at who do we really want to compete with, right? And go and sign a striker who is able to compete at such a level. All right. I'm going to. Okay. Nathan says for me, it would be better remain with Jesus because of his speed. This guy runs across the field. Osimhen remains up. Just remains up top on the upper line. Jesus defends and attacks. This is a bad mentality, guys. This mentality is how should I call it? How should I call this mentality? This mentality is bad. Because why I think that this mentality is bad is, to be honest, I might not have big problems with Eddie Nketiah, honestly. I might not have big problems with Gabriel Jesus, honestly. I just want what is good enough for this Arsenal team. So, are they good enough for this Arsenal team? No. End of question. Like, end of discussion. I like what Kylian Mbappe said yesterday when they dropped out of the Euros. He was asked to review his Euros campaign, and he said, in football, you're either good enough or not good enough. And he said, this Euros, I've not been good enough. Easy. Is Gabriel Jesus good enough? Yes, he runs, he defends, he attacks. With 2 goals at the end of the season, with 5 goals at the end of the season, I'm sorry. I'm really, really, really sorry. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. Meline says Arteta doesn't want Toney. That's true. Teresa says Gyökeres cannot only give us Premier League title, but also the Champions League. Freedom says Arsenal must buy Gyökeres. We need him now, or else pay the release clause for Isak. If the release clause still exists, that's not happening. John says Arsenal should loan out Nketiah and leave Gabriel Jesus and sign Gyökeres to compete with him. I think loaning out Nketiah is not a good idea. He's one of the players, he's one of the assets that Arsenal can easily get some good cash this summer. Like I wouldn't be positive with Arsenal loaning out Eddie. This summer, you can get some good money out of him. You just need to be patient. You just have to, you just have to be patient. You just need to be patient, right? And eventually, you'll get a club that buy him. Okay. Why would you loan out Eddie Nketiah, says Lee, rather than sell him and get another striker? Catlego says, hi, Cossy, just got here now. What's happening about Nico Williams? Nico Williams is still at the Euros, and so is Mikel Moreno. So you expect those deals to progress after the Euros. Isaac says, hello, thank you for the show. Watching in from Tororo. Bakari says, Gyökeres is the better, younger player Arsenal need at this moment. Please sign that boy. Kwame says, Toney for me to play for the Arsenal. I don't have a problem with Toney, really. I don't have a problem. I mean, people really say that he's angry. I don't know what that means. Cecile Paul says, how far with the Gyökeres transfer? Let's wait to see what happens with Eddie. Let's see what comes out of the Eddie situation. If Eddie can be shipped out, then there's a big possibility that we get to bring in a striker. Saleh says, what do you think of Mateta? Are you tired of seeing me? Now, if you're tired of seeing me, you could just say, because we are tired of seeing you, and I'll be out of this place for now. Mateta? Seriously? Mateta? Now, I want to say this, right? I want to say this. There are times when players have a good season. That doesn't mean they have turned into world class all of a sudden. They've just had a good season. And it's not a crime. It's not a criminal. You don't turn into criminal for having a good season. So Mateta having a good season, that's okay. But for you to say that Arsenal should get Mateta, that is a criminal offense. That's a criminal offense. That's a criminal. You should be arrested, right? You should be arrested. Anyway, objectively, what do I think about Mateta? If I am supporting West Ham, I would sign Mateta. I think Mateta is like a Lazio kind of signing. Lazio, Roma, Galatasaray. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mateta at Besiktas in the Champions League. Yeah. But at Arsenal, Mateta, come on. Isaac says, my striker's vote goes to Joao Pedro. Had Obi is staying. So Mikel Arteta has talked to, Chido Obi, and there is a serious possibility that he might stay. Keeping Nketiah as striker at the current Arsenal is lack of seriousness. Get a ruthless proper number 9, says Genius. And Amon Zulu says, sell both Eddie and Gabi and bring in Gyökeres and Isak. You can't get both. Hi, Cossy, why Arsenal is delaying on signings? We need strikers as soon as possible. Osimhen, Boaz says, what about Osimhen? The Osimhen links are very quiet, like very, very, very quiet. You wouldn't even imagine. Very quiet. So I think with the Osimhen one, it's about the price. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we will be talking soon.
We are all set, Captain. You are ready to go.